Daniel Jeremiah, one of the best in the business, put out his first mock draft, which always is the subject of a lot of praise and a lot of criticism because, like I said, he's one of the best in the business. And here you see the top 10 as the Titans. Well, they gave a hint. They said, we're not going to pass up a generational talent. Could that be Abdul Carter? Daniel Jeremiah thinks so. Travis Hunter, number 2 to the Cleveland Browns. There you see Shedeur Sanders at number 6 to Las Vegas, who he's been attached to as well. Drew, from a recruiting standpoint, scouting standpoint, which is what we love to really kind of tie this into for us, it's almost kind of like grading, right? You have to wait 3 to 4 years for this to happen. But a lot of this is in our guys that we graded in the 2022 cycles. And if you look back on that, 10 5-stars, 9 guys in the top 247, 24 blue chip players overall inside the top 32. No player ranked lower than an 86 rating would be a pretty good report card based on what Daniel Jeremiah is projecting here. So a lot of different ways to cut it, a lot of different ways to look at it. I guess when you go through these mock drafts, I'm just kind of curious. You as a director of scouting, does the high school rankings who were judged on by where these guys get drafted? What's kind of the first thought that comes to mind?
Well, I mean, the Titans GM throwing out that term generational, to me, kind of ears went up for Travis Hunter, right? And it was fun to get a peek into Daniel Jeremiah's head when it comes to Travis Hunter, because Cooper, all these conversations like the NFL draft media is having right now, and I'm sure when you go down to Mobile, it's going to be, all right, how do you use Travis Hunter? Is he a wide receiver? Is he a corner? Kid I scouted at length, right, throughout his high school career. I always thought, and I lean towards corner, but this past season, when I got a chance to see him play up close in person at UCF when Colorado traveled across the country, I kind of came away thinking he was more of a wide receiver, right? I think that's where he has a chance to be a true game breaker. And Daniel Jeremiah said he's one of the few people that is also in that camp that kind of prefers using Travis Hunter on the offensive side of the ball. Cooper, what also stands out to me, I always kind of like looking at these defensive backs, not a ton of them stuffed in here in the 32, but there are a few notable names. I mean, Malachi Starks, former 5-star at Georgia, do-it-all utility man. He's a guy that was my number 1 freak a few years ago. You have him in there, and then you have Azariah Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State. This is the first time I've seen him in a round 1 projection, but you go back to him, top 247 recruit, and what ties him, Malachi Starks and Travis Hunter all together? These guys were uber productive on both sides of the ball at the high school level. I mean, Azariah Thomas, I went back into my scouting notes. I said he's got some of the best wide receiver tape in all of the state of Florida, and he ends up going to Florida State. They use him on defense in the secondary, but he's a height, weight, speed defensive back. Cooper, I mean, they're always going to value that at the next level. So those are kind of my initial reactions to this top 32.
Can I ask you a question? Was there a specific play or moment in that game that you saw against UCF in person that made you switch your opinion from defense to offense on Travis Hunter?
Well, I mean, he, kind of baited a quarterback and jumped right in front of a little stop route for an interception. So it would have been easy to lean towards that. But I was sitting in press row, and I can't remember what reporter, it was one of the newspaper guys, just said, hey, Travis Hunter, when he's on offense, like the first guy never tackles him. And that's kind of stuck with me. And as I left UCF and drove home, I think it's true. And I think with Travis Hunter, he's just always, 1 second ahead of everyone else. As an athlete, as a player, he's just so smart there. So, he's already thinking about his move before he has the football. And he's one of those few guys, Cooper, that can secure the prize and then get the job done. So, I like him on offense. I get it with defense. But if I'm an NFL team, I view him through the lens of a field flipper on offense.
All right, a couple things that stand out for me. Cam Ward slipping, if you want to call it that, to number 3 to the New York Giants, who the New York Giants, if you've been watching the NFL, if you watch the Hard Knocks in the preseason of the front office, you've watched, I guess, almost like cringing, letting go of Saquon Barkley, recommitting to Daniel Jones. They made the moves that they made. Now they got to get it right. I think Cam Ward's built for New York, man. the swagger, the alpha mentality, the ability to kind of let things kind of roll off his back, Drew. I think he's built different. I think this guy is a fierce competitor, and I think a lot of people run away from a challenge like the Big Apple, and I think he's really, really built for it. So that's one thing that stands out. The other thing is, in this mock draft, I believe it's 16 of the top 20 players that Daniel Jeremiah has going in the top 20 haven't transferred. And it's kind of got my mind jogging a little bit because I'm overseeing the transfer portal rankings with Clint Brewster. And I'm looking at some of the top players, Drew. And after this update coming up next week, we're only going to have 1 5-star. So that means we're only going to have one player that's projected to go into the first round, in my opinion, which more than likely I will be wrong. Somebody will break through that ceiling and multiple players will get drafted in the top 32. I think teams are doing a lot better job playing defense. I think with the revenue share coming up, you're seeing teams doing a better job playing for the long term, keeping guys like Jeremiah Smith that we talked about in the boat. You're not seeing these sudden changes of guys that are just going to leave teams high and dry, and it's going to leave this ripple effect where you can't contend the next season. To me, that stands out, but it also stands out from a development standpoint, man. Abdul Carter, right, was a linebacker coming out, goes to Penn State, moves to edge. And you want to talk about a generational talent. Maybe he fits in that category what Tennessee was talking about in their front office, right? Will Campbell at LSU, 3-year starter there, 3 and done. Mason Graham at Michigan, by way of California. Tyler Warren, Penn State. Tetaroa McMillan, Michael Williams, Tyler Booker. I mean, you think of all these guys that played and were relied upon early and developed at their school of choice. And we're kind of now taught in this new era of name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal that it's the inverse, but you see the players that have committed to their programs and that have had the opportunity to develop now being the ones that NFL teams are saying, you know what, I'm going to invest in that player because maybe I got a little bit more of a idea of what I'm getting in this guy, and it's not a hop, skip, and a jump, depending on the year or where they're going. So I don't know if there's something there or not, but that really kind of struck me as really intriguing.
Or you want to talk about player development, right? What was our saying with Michigan over the years, right? They take these 3-star prospects and they turn them into NFL draft picks. Well, guess what, Cooper? What they've been able to do now is take these 4-star prospects and turn them into first-round prospects. Mason Graham was a kid that was at the back of the top 247. Kenneth Grant, a late 90 outside type of talent. Both those guys projected to go in round 1. You have Will Johnson as well. He's someone we went back and forth about, hey, should we make him a 5-star prospect? So Michigan, certainly what they're able to do specifically on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with Jim Harbaugh, who's now in the league, but that stands out to me. The other one, Missouri, 2 potential first-round picks for Eli Drinkwitz and co. Luther Burden's the name everyone knows, but how about Armin Mbumba? I think that's how you say it. A true junior, played alongside Caden Green there at Lee Summit in Missouri. Caden Green was the big-time prospect. Andrew was just a 4-star recruit. So I think you're on to something there, Cooper, just in terms of these guys staying and getting developed. T-Mac at Arizona as well as another one. Hey, he had plenty of options. He goes to Arizona, sticks it out there, and look at him, going to be a first-round pick.
All right, I got one more question for you. It's hard, right? This last update, you're trying to figure out what to do with the last couple of spots. We just went through this, right? 28 through 32 is really kind of where you make your money. I think, in my opinion, is there a guy that you look at in that 2022 class and you're like, you know what, I'm glad we put him in, that maybe showed up in some first round mock drafts, or maybe a guy that was just outside that you're like, man, I saw it, we were convicted in it, and we just didn't pull the trigger. Is there one of those guys that kind of jumps out in your mind?
Hey, Shamar Stewart, the defensive lineman from Texas A&M. When we rolled out the 2022 rankings, he was our number 1 player, and he kind of trended back as the field came to him. He goes to Texas A&M. He's part of that vaunted 2022 recruiting class for Jimbo Fisher. Only limited production, but you read everything. You listen to the Daniel Jeremiahs, you listen to the Ryan Wilsons. I mean, they're drooling over this guy, and why? It's because of the frames, the size, the measurements, what he can be. So glad we stuck with Shamar Stewart. I think there was a time we thought about potentially punting on him. Now we're going to look pretty smart.